Thank you so much for joining us today, Professor Wang Lu. We're very excited about your new piece, Shout Out, for flute, clarinet, saxophone, piano, percussion, violin, and cello, which will premiere at our opening concert for Collage New Music this season. And it's wonderful to have you here and tell us a little bit more about your new work.
Great. Thank you for your time, Jingmian.
So the first thing I'm curious about is why the title Shout Out? So what's the meaning behind it?
Yeah, I was asked to write this piece by the new artist director Eric Nathan, my dear friend and colleague. I immediately thought about the lineage of the ensemble, the history of the ensemble, and how exciting it is to see a new generation bringing new voices and excitement to this group. And I just thought this is something to celebrate.
I had a sneak peek at your score, and one thing that caught my attention was this piece features such an exuberant collage of materials. Some are declamatory, playful, festive, while the others are more gentle and fragile. So, could you tell us how you came up with these contrasting materials and what is the narrative of Shout Out through the interplay of these elements?
First, I have to say you are such a great observer, and you must be a really wonderful composer yourself. And as you're describing the kind of materials I have in the piece, I think every composer goes through different phases. Now I'm less filtered. And I just think since it's a celebration and think about the variety of pieces and aesthetics this group has played and will play in the most unpredictable way in the future. And I think many sounds and relationships will happen just like in this piece of music. Since it's a celebration, many things could happen. And as you have lived in Boston for many years, and you're writing a piece for Collage that'll be premiered in March, I believe you think about Boston, your life there, right? You've been here for 7 years, and you think about New England for American music. There just a lot would come to your mind, right? It would not just be one clean and quote unquote pure idea that stay on the as a sanitized composer's table. So we could let more lives to live. And while I was talking about my piece, I really look forward to hearing your piece in March.
Thank you so much. So here's a more general question about your music. So like your pieces in your album Urban Inventory and An Atlas of Time, your music often places the audience in a sort of imaginary environment with a hint of reality. And sometimes it's evoked through the sheer beauty of timbres and sometimes through some tape recordings. So it's as if you yourself are a composer and a storyteller. So, where do you find your inspiration for your music and how do you infuse them into your work?
Right. So where do you find your inspiration?
I I
Hmm.
sometimes look outward and sometimes look inward. So I mean, I can find inspiration through other composers' music or through my own emotional reactions towards the world around me. Yeah,
Right. Oh,
it's a hard
that's
question.
wonderful, right? That's a hard question. I think again, I think what happened is that if we are not filtering out and making decisions too early about this is not going to inspire me, then you can find ideas everywhere. Or you figure out this is not a good idea. We're often very, very instinctively decisive about like something is great, something is not great. But I think you go through different phases. I do think now I see everywhere. I'm just trying to observe more and be more receptive. And also I think it's environmental sound has always been part of what we live with. And when you live inside the environment, you don't hear it. All of a sudden you hear it and you're like, what is this going on the whole time, right?
Yeah, and that's definitely reflected in a lot of your works. And I do find it specifically your compositions and its relationship with language is really fascinating, such as your work like Siren Songs and your first words. They are such different music, but they both reflect the sort of cultural and emotional significance in the language that we speak.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we all learn a mother tongue right before we turn two, and no matter how difficult the language is, you will be able to learn it, right?
Right.
But then it comes to a father tongue, maybe a second language, a third language. I came to America after finished undergraduate studies. You could say it's early, but it's pretty late for language study, right? So I learned English, but my relationship with foreign language has always been sound first, the expression, and the sound, and how people interact socially and emotionally. All of that are a lot more stark and obvious than the meaning because I couldn't understand the words for a while. So I was like, okay, so you're gonna read the mood and read the room, read without reading the words, like what is happening almost.
Mhm.
So the sound and how it goes, and you didn't even think about it. It's musical, right? And how we speak is very musical.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us and taking the time to answer my questions today. We look forward to hearing your new piece shout out at the upcoming Collage New Music concert on October 6th at the Longy School of Music. Thank you again.